Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the Goodable Show. We got a jam-packed show for you today. Here's what we got coming up. We're gonna introduce you to a 16-year-old girl with a heart and hands of gold. In Goodable Sports, what's it like when a 7'3" gigantic basketball player does a cannonball into a tiny little swimming pool? We're gonna show you. All of that, plus dogs, cats, a major COVID vaccine announcement, and a surprise wedding that's sure to make you feel oh so good. The Goodable Show starts now. We begin in Florida, where a 29-year-old surprised his mother with an announcement that brought her to tears. That is how Ray Curtis Petty Jr. and his mom found out that he'd passed the bar exam and was officially a lawyer.
When I was coming up in grade school, I was told by teachers that I should have been in special education classes. I was told by coaches that I was not smart enough to remember a playbook. And with those things, I thank God that I had a praying mother telling me that I will not be limited based off of others' labels.
Ray was rejected from every law school he applied to before he finally got in to Western Michigan University. While he was studying for the exam, Ray's sister, who'd been helping him study, passed away from sickle cell disease. He fell into depression and didn't think he'd ever make it to becoming a lawyer.
This for you. This for Coco.
At Western Michigan, he was the president of the Student Bar Association and graduated as valedictorian of his class. And you just know that through it all, his mother was his biggest fan. From all of us at Goodable, congratulations, Ray. And if you have any amazing news of your own, anything amazing happening in your life, we want to hear about it. Tag or DM us your news on Twitter at Goodable or Facebook and Instagram at Goodable News. And who knows, maybe one day you'll end up being our next Goodable correspondent. You know, I kind of like the sound of that. We want to take you to Australia next and introduce you to the world's most adorable hero. He's the kind of hero that you can play fetch with and then will go off and save someone's life. Meet Bear. He's a rescue dog specifically trained to sniff out koalas. During the Australian bushfires, Bear found and saved the lives of more than 100 injured koala bears. In fact, he saved so many of them that he just won an award from the International Fund for Animal Welfare. And the best part about this was that before this all happened, Bear was just an ordinary rescue dog in search of his forever home. Staying in the world of animals, you know they say that you can never repay a pet's love? Well, man, oh man, there's a 16-year-old girl in Minnesota who is giving it her best shot. This is Shane Killian. 2 years ago, she started making wheelchairs for pets who couldn't walk. Since then, she's helped out dogs, cats, hedgehogs, and soon, yeah, even a duck. And the most Goodable part is that she only charges for the cost of materials and does all of the rest of the work free of charge. She even donates them to animal shelters and sanctuaries. Over in the UK, there was a surprise wedding this week, and no, I'm not talking about the royal family. This wedding is gonna give you a big, warm fuzzy inside. Malala Yousafzai quietly tied the knot in a small ceremony with her family in Birmingham. No fanfare, no big press release, just a quiet post on social media. 9 years ago, Malala was shot and nearly killed after criticizing the Taliban in a remote area of Pakistan. Her wedding comes just months after she told British Vogue magazine that she wasn't sure if she was ever even gonna get married at all. All right, raise your hand if you are sick and fed up of all of the negative COVID news right now. Exactly. Here's a story about how when countries work together, the entire world wins. This week, France announced that by the end of this year, they'll have donated more than 60 million doses of COVID vaccine to countries that don't have any. Those doses have already helped more than 45 countries, including 30 in Africa alone. By the middle of next year, France says it will double, that's right, double that amount, to 120 million doses, all for countries in need. In Goodable climate news, Ithaca in New York State just became the first American city ever to say no to fossil fuels. The town voted to commit to 100% decarbonize all their buildings, every school, every office place, even homes. In other words, the entire city will be powered entirely by renewable energy. It's expected to save almost 160,000 tons of carbon emissions. Our next story is about a 16-year-old girl with a heart and hands of gold. This is Elisa Narang. When she was 12, she started knitting hats to donate to a local drop-in shelter for people who were experiencing houselessness. She started with just one, and then made another, and then made more. This year, she knitted and donated 105 hats, or toques, as we like to call them here in Canada. And if you think that's incredible, there's more. Since she was young, she's also been a patient at Alberta Children's Hospital, where she's also been making bracelets for other patients. Over in Toronto, or since we're in Toronto, over on the other side of Toronto, an 87-year-old woman just gave all of us proof that you never ever stop learning. Varata Shanmuganathan just became the oldest person in Canada to earn a master's degree at a Canadian university. Yeah, she was joined on her graduation day by 4,000 other students, many of whom were young enough to be her grandchildren.
I will tell them, the younger generation, do your degrees, not just for career's sake. You should think not about yourself all the time, but think of your country, think of the world, think of all the issues that are being discussed in this world.
Incredibly, this is the second master's degree that she has earned in her lifetime. Her first was at the University of London when she was in her 50s. In this week's Goodable Sports, a whole bunch of great things probably happened on the field or the court or on the ice. And I'm sure they're really great, but man, there is nothing better than watching a 7'3" giant athlete do a cannonball into a tiny swimming pool. Boban Marjanovic is one of the tallest players ever to play in the NBA. He's so tall that he can dunk without even leaving his feet.
Oh my goodness, he did not jump.
So what happens when Boban decides to jump into a swimming pool with his shirt, shorts, and socks still on? Well, this.
Hey, but this dude, dog. This is a clown, dog.
All right, so we think Boba might actually be the most hilarious person ever to play in the NBA, and to prove it, here's a brand new segment that we are calling 30 Seconds with Bobby.
I gotta hear it. You rang.
You rang.
Yeah! I love you, Boban. I love you, Boban. Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Hey, it's Mercedes, back with your Goodable Hero of the Week. This time we've got a whole organization of incredible people whose hand signal went viral and rescued a young woman from danger. A 16-year-old girl from North Carolina was spotted by a driver on the highway holding up a hand signal that he recognized. She held up her hand, tucked her thumb into her palm, and covered it with her fingers. Now, this is really important, so I'm going to show you again. She held up her hand, tucked her thumb into her palm, and covered it with her fingers. The hand signal was created by the Canadian Women's Foundation. It ended up on TikTok, where it went viral as a distress signal for people facing domestic violence who couldn't contact authorities themselves. In this case, the driver noticed the signal, called the police, and sure enough, the girl in the car had been abducted. Her hand signal led to the man's arrest, and the 16-year-old was safely returned to her home. Today, we're speaking with Andrea Gunraj from the Canadian Women's Foundation to learn more about why signals like these are so important and how all of us can use this one to save someone's life. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. The first thing I want to ask is, why did the Canadian Women's Foundation develop this hand signal in the first place?
So we thought this would be a really important time to release a tool that would enable people to wordlessly, without leaving a digital trace, communicate that I need somebody to check in with me safely, And it would also help those around those people to be able to respond. The fact that it went viral, I think it spoke to a real need that people saw. In April, it was launched, and by July, we heard that 1 in 3 people in Canada knew about the signal for help or seen it being used. So it's certainly speaking to a need that was met.
Speaking of that need, what was your reaction when you learned that the hand signal had helped to save a young girl's life?
Well, in some ways, I am so relieved. I know that it was such a scary and dangerous situation, and that the young woman was able to use the signal, and that somebody was able to respond to it, knew what to do, was really amazing and very relieving. If you see the signal for help being used, oftentimes it will happen in a video call like this, and it might happen between people who know each other and have a relationship. I would say that it's really important to follow up with that person in a very benign and careful way. Just you can message them and say, hey, I'm here to talk when you're ready. That will let that person know that when they're safe, they can reach out to you again and tell you what they need. They might need you to just be a listening person who's kind and not judgmental. Let's take the step to be that safe signal responder, whether or not they use the signal for help. If we just know that they need our help, let's be there for them.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And yes, putting people in need first is exactly what the Canadian Women's Foundation has done. And it's truly a remarkable story. So thank you so much for joining me, and good luck with the rest of your work moving forward.
This brings us almost to the end of this week's show, but we went on social media and we asked all of you to send us pictures of the most important pets in your life. If you saw the show, you might have noticed that pets were kind of a recurring theme. Well, man, oh man, did you deliver. As we go, here are some of the pictures you sent us, the most adorable cats, dogs, and there might even be a goat in there in your lives. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe and stay Goodable.